Elon Musk's SpaceX on Thursday gave an update on its Starlink internet service, as the company launched more satellites into orbit. SpaceX engineer said during a webcast of the company's first launch of the year that Starlink now has more than 145,000 users in 25 countries around the world. That's up from 140,000 users in early November, but represents a slowdown in user growth. The company launched a Falcon 9 rocket from Florida on Thursday, carrying 49 Starlink satellites toward orbit. Starlink is the company's plan to build an interconnected internet network with thousands of satellites known in the space industry as a constellation. It's designed to deliver high-speed internet to consumers anywhere on the planet. SpaceX has about 1,800 Starlink satellites in orbit. The increase of 5,000 users in 2 months represents a slowdown in growth. Until November, SpaceX had added roughly 11,000 users per month since beginning service in October 2020. Late last year, SpaceX noted on its website that silicon shortages have delayed production of Starlink user terminals, which has impacted our ability to fulfill orders. SpaceX's valuation has soared beyond $100 billion, which industry analysts attribute in large part to the market potential of its Starlink service. Before we get into the news, I would like to welcome you to my channel. On this channel we look at the latest news surrounding Elon Musk, Shiba Inu, SpaceX, Starlink to name a few. I would like to announce a giveaway I will be hosting. I will be giving away a $50 Amazon gift card, and all you have to do is subscribe and like the video and make sure you watch till the end of the video. Now let's get into the news. Elon Musk's SpaceX has launched more than 1,800 of its Starlink space internet satellites into orbit. They form a constellation designed to provide low-cost broadband internet service from low Earth orbit. The constellation, informally known as Starlink, is under development at SpaceX's facilities in Redmond, Washington. Its goal is to beam super-fast internet into your home from space. While satellite internet has been around for a while, it has suffered from high latency and unreliable connections. Starlink is different. SpaceX says putting a constellation of satellites in low Earth orbit would provide high-speed, cable-like internet all over the world. The billionaire's company wants to create the global system to help it generate more cash. Musk has previously said the venture could give 3 billion people who currently do not have access to the internet a cheap way of getting online. It could also help fund a future city on Mars. Helping humanity reach the red planet is one of Musk's long-stated aims, and was what inspired him to start SpaceX. The company has previously filed plans with the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, to launch 4,425 satellites into orbit above the Earth, 3 times as many that are currently in operation. Once fully deployed, the SpaceX system will pass over virtually all parts of the Earth's surface and therefore, in principle, have the ability to provide ubiquitous global service, the firm said. Every point on the Earth's surface will see, at all times, a SpaceX satellite. The network will provide internet access to the US and the rest of the world, it added. It is expected to take more than 5 years and $9.8 billion, £7.1 billion, of investment, although satellite internet has proved an expensive market in the past and analysts expect the final bill will be higher. Musk compared the project to rebuilding the internet in space, as it would reduce reliance on the existing network of undersea fiber optic cables which crisscross the planet. In the US, the FCC welcomed the scheme as a way to provide internet connections to more people. SpaceX has sent another 49 Starlink satellites into orbit despite criticisms of the company that it is clogging up space with its equipment. Elon Musk's firm launched its 35th batch of Starlink satellites on a Falcon 9 rocket from Kennedy Space Center, Florida. Deployment of the 49 Starlink satellites on board, which are each about the size of a table, was confirmed 1 hour and 20 minutes after liftoff. Starlink is a constellation of more than 1,800 satellites that aims to provide internet access to most of the Earth, particularly underserved rural areas. As part of its beta service, Starlink Internet is already available in 23 countries around the world, including the UK. However, next-generation Starlink constellations could have a whopping 42,000 Starlink satellites in low Earth orbit, Musk hopes. About 9 minutes after Thursday's liftoff of the latest batch, SpaceX landed Falcon 9's first stage on one of SpaceX's drone ships in the Atlantic Ocean, the elaborately titled A Shortfall of Gravitas. The recovery vessel catches falling boosters and returns them to port to save on costs. Deployment of 49 Starlink satellites confirmed, SpaceX tweeted. Falcon 9's first stage has landed on the A Shortfall of Gravitas drone ship. Musk himself also confirmed deployment of the Starlink satellites with lasers, which route data between individual satellites in the constellation. Nearly 2,000 Starlink satellites have been launched into space since the first couple in February 2018, however, many have been decommissioned or have since failed. As of Thursday, there are 1,824 Starlink satellites in orbit that are now working, including this latest batch. The launch comes only days after high-profile criticism of the firm that its Starlink satellites are hogging space, leading to near collisions. Late last month, Musk was blasted by China over two close encounters between his satellites and Beijing's new space station, Tiangong. Tiangong had to perform evasive maneuvers to prevent a potential collision with two Starlink satellites launched by SpaceX on July 1 and October 21, the Chinese government said in a December 6 complaint to the UN. China accused the US of ignoring its space treaty obligations to protect the safety of the Tiangong station's three-member crew after the two near misses. Musk since said that tens of billions of spacecraft can orbit close to Earth and rubbished claims that his firm is squeezing out rivals in space. Space is just extremely enormous and satellites are very tiny, Musk told the Financial Times. This is not some situation where we're effectively blocking others in any way. We've not blocked anyone from doing anything, nor do we expect to. Musk argued that each satellite orbits Earth in its own shell, essentially a pathway around Earth at a certain fixed altitude that has a bigger diameter than Earth itself. He compared this to the density of 2 billion cars and trucks that cover only a fraction of the Earth's surface. That would imply room for tens of billions of satellites, Musk said. A couple of thousand satellites is nothing. It's like, hey, here's a couple of thousand of cars on Earth, it's nothing. However, one astrophysicist rubbished the billionaire's comparison, saying that spacecraft traveling at 17,000 miles per hour needs far greater separation than road vehicles to prevent a potential collision. For many space users, planning an avoidance maneuver is at least hours if not days, so this suggests space is already too crowded, said Jonathan McDowell at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. What's more, calculating the trajectory of many different satellites can be affected by changes in solar weather. He added that evasive maneuvers are becoming more frequent as more objects crowd into near-Earth orbit and force course adjustments to reduce the risk of crashes. We've really noticed the increase in the number of close passes since Starlink started getting deployed, he told AFP earlier this week. Any collision between Tiangong and a Starlink satellite would likely completely demolish the space station and kill everyone on board. Joseph Aschbacher, head of the European Space Agency, has also said that Musk was making the rules for the new commercial space economy. However, a space analyst at space consulting group Astrolytical said that this criticism of Starlink was based on emotion, not facts. I have to wonder if similar complaints were made when certain airlines started flying more planes on set routes. No one owns the skies and all are free to use them, she said. China launched Tianhe, the main section of what will be a permanent space station called Tiangong Space Station, back in April. Tiangong, meaning Heavenly Palace, will rival the aging International Space Station, which is operated by the space agencies of the US, Canada, Russia, Japan and Europe. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed. I would appreciate it if you could subscribe and like the video, as it will help out the channel a lot. Make sure you do not forget to turn on notifications by pressing the bell icon so you do not miss the latest news surrounding Elon Musk, SpaceX, Starlink to name a few.